Our next guest needs no introduction. She is endorsed by Oprah. Her belief is that everything is figureoutable. So please welcome Marie Forleo.
Hi.
It's so great to be here with you. So many people give up on their goals, dreams, desires because they look at other people and they say, I can never be that person. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough, or I don't have the right tools or resources. And that's where you come in, Marie, and you say, no, you do.
That dream is there for a reason. That is your purpose. And you wouldn't have it if you didn't already have the goods to make it real. We have these internal messages and these intuitive nudges and these guidance points that are always trying to lead us to our higher purpose, but we have to have the courage to listen. And so that ability to listen, married with the belief that everything was figureoutable, is the only reason that I'm sitting here with you today.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Undeniable Proof. I am so excited because our next guest needs no introduction. She is endorsed by Oprah. And listen, when you say that, I think that like that's it. Like you've just hit the top. You've hit the top.
You've made it.
But what I love so much about her is the fact that her belief is that everything is figureoutable. So if you're here right now and you have a question where, how can I fix my life? Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe you're going through a health crisis. Maybe it is that you're going through a spiritual crisis. Whatever it is that's going on in your life right now, our next guest has been there. She has the answers. She has helped people like you and me. And more importantly, she's here with us now. Everybody, please welcome Marie Forleo.
Hi.
It's so great to be here with you.
Oh my God, this is so exciting. I adore you both. And that little mantra, just to really be realsy, it saves my buns every single day because there are so many things that I do not know. And that, it's figureoutable, and it may not happen in a minute. It may not happen in a week or in a month, but it will come to pass, meaning you will find that clarity. You will get that answer. You will create that transformation if you hold on to that gorgeous little belief that keeps you in a space of hope and creativity and possibility and willingness. So that's really the root of it. Because I think all of us, we live in the mystery, right? And there's always going to be challenges and things that we're facing, but that keeps us in a really great, beautiful perspective of possibility.
But also, you invented this. Like Marie Forleo invented everything is figureoutable. I think you invented the word figureoutable. And you know what?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm secretly jealous because I wish that
you actually say that all the time. Wait, this is getting to the nitty gritty because Matt is not lying when he says that he gets jealous, like not jealous, but you know what I mean? Like he's like
funsies. Yes.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant because it's true. Like think about it. Like talk about how it saves you a butt, right?
Yes.
You used it to save so many people. And you know, when there's a problem or a situation, just think about it. Everything is figureoutable, right? Everything is figureoutable. And I even know that like as a psychic medium, we have angels, we have spirit guides, we have, the law of attraction. We have so many forces that are there and that are helping us. And like, no matter what you're going through, like I said, divorce, figureoutable. Right?
Everything.
You're going through a health crisis, figureoutable. Like you can apply it to so many areas of your life and bring about good change. So first of all, let me just ask you, what made this your mantra? Like what was that aha moment when you're like, this is it. This is my tagline. This is my slogan. This is what I'm going to use to teach.
Yes. Well, it actually comes from a really spicy, amazing woman who is about 5'4". She looks like June Cleaver. She cusses like a truck driver. And she happens to be my mom. So Miriam, God bless her soul. So she's still with us. She's going through a really rough health crisis right now. So we can talk about that. But let's take it back to the origin of this because it's really important. It's really sweet. And I think a lot of people can relate to it. So, my mom grew up the daughter of 2 alcoholic parents, and she learned by necessity how to stretch a dollar bill around the block like 5 times. She, suffered from a lot of psychological abuse, a lot of emotional abuse. And she made a promise to herself that when she grew up, she was going to find a way to a better life. And so one of my fondest memories as a child was sitting around our kitchen in New Jersey on Sundays, and we were reading the Sunday paper. And this is back in the 70s, right? So I was born in 75. And my mom would be clipping coupons because she loved to teach me all the ways that our family could save money. That's what you did. And one of the favorite things she loved to tell me about doing, I don't know if you guys remember this, you're going to be a little bit young for this, but you might have a reference somewhere. So there used to be these things called proofs of purchase. It was like if you buy, 5 cartons of milk or 4 Pop-Tarts and you saved up and you cut out these little proofs of purchase, you could actually mail them in snail mail, and they would send you back a cooking book, utensils, like some kind of freebie.
Wow.
It was called a premium that brands would do to get you to be loyal. This is all pre-internet. This is pre-everything. So my mom, right? This is hilarious. One of her favorite things in the world was this tiny little AM/FM radio that she got from Tropicana orange juice for free. So this little radio is shaped like an orange. It has little dimples. Sticking out of the side is a red and white straw. And everywhere when I was a kid, I didn't know if I couldn't know what my mom was doing, all I'd have to do is listen for the tinny little sound of this Tropicana orange radio. She loved this thing.
So precious.
So one day I'm coming home from school and I hear like Donna Summer blasting from the distance, right? And I'm walking home and I'm like, the sound is coming from a very weird orientation. And as I approach my house, I noticed that the music is coming from up high. And I look up and I see my mom perched precariously on the roof of our 2-story house. I'm like, there's no ladder. What the hell's going on? I'm like, Mom, are you okay? What's going on? And she's like, Ray, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. She goes, the roof had a leak. I called the roofer. He said it was going to be at least $500. I said, screw that. There's asphalt in the garage. I'm doing it myself.
No.
Yes. This is my mother, right?
There's no way.
So another time I'm coming home from school and I go into the front door and I hear music and it's blasting from the back. And I follow the sound and I see like a little door cracked open. It was a bathroom. And I push open the door, you guys, and there was dust and pipes. Like it looked like a bomb went off in there. My mom's sitting there in the middle and there's like nothing on the walls. I'm like, Mom, are you okay? What's going on? She's like, Rhea, I'm fine. She's like, the tiles had some cracks in it. She goes, I didn't want everything to get moldy. So I'm retiling the bathroom. Now you guys got to understand, this is like pre-YouTube. This is pre-Google. This is pre-internet. My mom has nothing more than a high school education. And so for me, my whole life, anytime I'm like looking to find my mom, I always knew I could find her somewhere listening to this radio. So cut to one day, it's fall time.
Amazing.
And fall time, we just went through spring forward, but it's fall time. It was dark and I'm walking home from school and it was creepy. And I approach my house and everything is dark and it's silent. Now for an Italian American home, this is not good news. It's never dark. It's never silent. I walk inside and I had that pit in my stomach that something was wrong. Where's my mom? Where's the sound of the Tropicana orange radio? I hear some clicks and clacks from the kitchen. I tiptoe in and I see my mom hunched over the kitchen table. It looks like a friggin' operating room. She's got screwdrivers, she got electrical tape, and then in like 30 disparate pieces is a completely dismantled Tropicana orange radio. And I was like, Mom,
not the radio.
I was like, are you okay? What happened? Is it broken? She like looks up. She's like, Ray, don't worry about it. She's like, the antenna was a little off. I couldn't get the dial to work. So I'm working on it. And then I cross my arms and I'm watching her like work her magic. And I asked the question that I should have always asked, which is this. I said, hey, Mom, how do you know how to do so many different things that you've never done before and nobody's showing you how to do it? And she puts everything down and she looks to the side and she says, Ray, what are you talking about? Nothing in life is that complicated. If you roll up your sleeves, you get in there and you do it. Everything is figureoutable. And I was like, everything
I like
is figureoutable.
literally
I got the chills. Me too. I just get the chills.
I have chills all through my body. This is, oh my God.
That phrase, it just kept repeating like it was washing over me. And I was like, everything is figureoutable. Everything is figureoutable. Oh my gosh, everything is figureoutable. And so from that moment, that phrase took root in my soul. And I kid you not, it has been the single most driving force in my life. When I was in high school and I was in an abusive relationship and I needed to get my buns out of that thing, everything is figureoutable helped me solve that. When I was in college and there were all these classes that I couldn't get into, I'm the first in my family to go to college. Everything is figureoutable got me into the classes. It helped me figure out how to pay for school. It helped me get my first job on Wall Street. It helped me figure out how to build a business. It still helps me because again, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed by any means at all. However, I have this belief and I will never let it go. And in, this part of my life, there are so many things that go wrong every single day. As I was saying, I got major health challenges with my folks, with my parents, all kinds of stuff. But that little phrase is my anchor. And it doesn't mean that I have to have the answer. And I want to talk about this too. It's like I pray, I talk to my guides, I ask for guidance, I look for signs, I reach out to friends, I ask anyone that may have a clue for me for help. And it all comes back to that notion. So it's not about you having to be the smartest or the strongest, but it's about retaining that sense of possibility and holding on to that hope that somehow you can transform or transcend any circumstance that you face.
I am so happy that you said that.
Oh my God.
Because how many times, that's so powerful. How
It's
many
like
times?
gonna make me cry, but yes.
Well, the closer you are to pregnancy, the more you want everything.
You know what? It is true. And I just, in my head, like my biggest issue right now is like giving birth, which is ridiculous because I've already done it once and I'm just so terrified of it. And just hearing that, I applied it because obviously everyone's going to apply it, that listening to something different, right? Whatever their struggle is right now, that's my biggest struggle, is just trying to get through how I'm going to give birth this time. And that just like spoke to my soul. And
I can see you well. Like I can literally see your eyes.
It's amazing. That's amazing. Wow.
And first of all, I'm so happy that you wrote the book on it. It's not just something that you live by, but it's something that you teach others to live by. You wrote the book, Everything Is Figureoutable. And I got to tell you, you just have transformed so many people's lives. So I want to start here.
Yes.
Right? Is that with Everything Is Figureoutable, I think it really starts with especially you're talking about like, you don't have to be the sharpest tool in the tool shed. You don't have to have a college degree.
No,
you don't
I was going to say degrees and certificates and And
it's actually funny. It's the same thing with the spirit world. I remember like when I first started out with mediumship and, I started out I was getting asked to be keynote speakers and I was traveling the country and, going on television shows and so on and so forth. And I ended up at this really big speakers event where with all these other spiritual people, and here I am, I think I was like 22 years old. And there was this woman who was twice my age that came running up to me. And she's like, "So you're the keynote speaker?"
Oh,
and I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes to me, wait for it. So she goes to me, "How did you get to be keynote speaker?" She's like, "I got this certification, that certification. I'm endorsed by this and I'm endorsed by that." She pulls out all these pieces of paper, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "How come you're keynote speaker and I'm not?" And I go, "I don't know." I'm like, "I didn't know you needed a certification to speak to the dead." I'm like, "They just talk to me. I don't know." Because I'm like, no dead person has ever come to me and asked for a certification. And I think that the thing is that, so many people reach out to you for is that they have a spark, they have an idea, they feel a drive, they feel something within them, a story they have to share, a passion that they have to pursue, something in them. And they're like, what's the next step? What's the next step to take?
Yes.
And I think that so many people give up on their goals, dreams, desires because they look at other people and they say, "I can never be that person. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough, or I don't have the right tools or resources." And that's where you come in, Marie, and you say, "No, you do."
Yes.
Because if you have that spark, if you have that idea, you just have to know the next step to take. So when someone comes to you, because everybody comes to you and they're sharing their dreams and goals, whatever it may be.
Yes.
What is your advice for the first step to take when you have that dream, that goal, that desire?
Yes. Okay. So 2 things. I'm going to come and answer that very specifically, but I also want to address something that you said, because I think this is very important for all of us to hear. And it's important for us to hear at the different seasons and stages of our lives. One of the things, Matt, that I know you've talked about before is the fact that our purpose and our gifts, it might shift and change over time, our expression of it. And so whether you are at the beginning of your journey, and you might be in high school or in college or that kind of phase of life, or you might be in the middle, right? And you've done one thing and you're about to start something else. Here's what's important. You would not have the dream in your heart if you already didn't have what it takes to achieve it. It is my deep belief that the moment that you have a certain dream, that spark, that wouldn't it be cool if possibility that will not let you sleep, that you keep thinking of, that you see an article about, you hear something on the radio, someone talks to you and you're like, this thing is so obsessive to me. That dream is there for a reason. That is your purpose. And you wouldn't have it if you didn't already have the goods to make it real. Now, you may need to develop some skills. You may need to build some muscles, right? To turn that possibility into a capability, into a reality. But I just wanted to have that as our baseline, because if you don't have that belief, you sometimes won't take that first next step. Now, let's go on to the next step, because this is fun. So this is a mantra. I live my life by mantras because I am a wild creative being, and I have an ADHD type brain that doesn't sleep. And so mantras are something that really help me stay focused and it stays grounded. And here's one of my favorite ones. And this is especially important when you're at that first precipice of moving towards something. You're like, but I don't know what to do. Even if it is figureoutable, how the hell do I figure it out? Right? If you're in that place.
Yeah.
Here it is.
I love that.
This is a writer downer. Clarity comes from engagement, not thought. Clarity comes from engagement, not thought. So what does that mean? If you have this idea about starting your own podcast, let's say, rather than thinking about it and getting so overwhelmed and how do I get sponsors and blah, 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 you can do one little bit of research or talk to one person and be like, well, what's the first step? Oh, what's the name of my podcast? Maybe you take a little online class. There could be a really inexpensive one. You go mentor with someone. There's a way to get out of thinking and into engagement. In every part of our lives, a tiny way to experiment, a tiny way to get your toe in the water. Because what that does, y'all, is you start to get feedback, body feedback, intelligence from the inside out, not from your head, but from your body, your soul, and your heart, and from the world around you. And those bits of feedback, that clarity that comes from like, oh, wait, I really like this. Oh, can you tell me about what equipment is the best to use? What's the best, what's the least expensive way to get started? Oh, what about this platform called Riverside? You start to build and gather all of these little nuggets that you would have never gotten. Plus, this is the bonus, you will tell from your own internal experience whether or not you want to go down this path. Because sometimes, haven't you guys experienced this? Maybe you have a dream or something that you want to pursue, and it sounds good in your head, and maybe you saw somebody else do it, and you're like, oh, that looks like fun. And then the moment you start doing it, you're like, this isn't for me. Do you know what I mean? For whatever reason, it's gorgeous. It's amazing. Bless them for doing it, but it's not necessarily
100%.
right. It's not your path.
Yep.
But if you sit there on the couch and you stew and you're like, they've got it and I don't, or I could never do that. If you never actually move towards engagement, you'll never get that internal feedback and know your clarity to know your next step. Did that make sense?
100%.
Yes.
Because you know what? We're totally vibing, because what I teach too as a medium is that those internal feelings that you get, they come from somewhere.
Yes.
They're not coming from just the thin air, right? They're coming from angels, spirit guides, and loved ones on the other side that know your path. And the reason why I wanted to have you on, Marie, is that you did this, right? You took a phrase, everything is figureoutable. And from that one phrase that you got from your mom, you used it to create everything, your whole brand, your life. You helped other people. I mean, it has lived in so many textbooks. It lives everywhere online, on so many television shows. You put that into fruition. But the thing is that you knew how to pay attention to those signals and those cues that you were feeling. But here's what I've also learned as a medium. And this is what I want everyone to know, especially what Marie is saying, right? Because it backs you up, is that we might see the 99 reasons why something is not going to work, but heaven only sees the one reason why it will. And that's all that matters. So everybody can say, that's not going to work. Nope, it's too much money. That, the other thing. And what I love is when they come over, right? And you try to get started and you get shut down before it begins, meaning that other people might not have the same beliefs as you. They may not believe in your ideas. They might not believe in you. But when they don't, you have a team in heaven, right? And this is why it's important.
Yes.
If I were to tell you, when I first started becoming a medium publicly and going out there publicly, everybody told me the 99 reasons why it would not work. Why, I was going to ruin my reputation. I was going to ruin my image. People were going to think that I was crazy. I wasn't going to be able to be taken seriously. I wasn't going to be able to go back to my job. And you know what? A lot of their points were true and valid. And a lot of things they told me were true and valid. But I had a purpose and I had a path. And I had to pursue it. And what's so amazing is when you're on path and you're working towards your purpose and you're working towards those goals, dreams, and desires, doors just start to open. I mean, have you experienced that? That you talk about that one word, or that one phrase, or like having that one idea of doing a podcast, you put it out there and you start, almost like wishing it into fruition, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Well, let me tell you about how I got started in this whole thing. And I'll try and keep it short, but I feel like it's illustrative and it backs up completely what you're saying. So one of my first jobs, it was my first job after college, was on Wall Street on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And I was really excited
Wow.
because I'm a person who has a ton of energy, right? And when I was in school, I was like, I can't imagine myself sitting behind a desk. Like that just doesn't jive with this kind of DNA. So I was super grateful. And I would show up on the floor and it was, Wall Street, the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And I was like, at that time, this is like I can't believe this, is like 1997. That's when this was. And it was 99.9% men. I was the only woman there. So it was just like I was getting hit on constantly. And the way that culture worked, God bless it. Again, it's back in the day. But it was like you would show up to work and at 4:00 when the bell rang, it was like everybody's like, all right, we're going to strip clubs, doing cocaine. Like it was this whole thing. And I would watch the people around me and they were like making up to what to me was a bajillion dollars. And I did not grow up with any money. Like it was, it was fine, but it was just like money was always scarce. So I was just thrown into this world. I didn't know what the hell's going on. I was happy and grateful to have a job. My parents had busted their butt to put me through school, first in my family to go to college. But I started hearing this little voice inside you guys, and it kept saying, Marie, this isn't who you are. This isn't what you're meant to do. This isn't what you're supposed to be. And it was this whisper. And I tried to ignore the whisper at first because I'm like, this is my first job. I need to make everyone proud. Do you know what I mean? This is what it takes. You put a game face on, you show up. So that voice kept getting louder and louder and louder until one day I showed up at work on the floor of the exchange and I had what I now understand to be a panic attack. I felt dizzy. I started having trouble breathing. I was really sick. And I said to my boss, who was like the pit manager, I said, hey, I need to go out and get a coffee. Is that all right? He's like, absolutely, go take a break. So I left the stock exchange. I did not go get a coffee. Do you want to know where I went? I went and made a beeline to the nearest church. So I went to a Catholic university, Seton Hall University, and I was basically trained when there's a challenge, you look up and you ask for some help. And so I'm sitting on the Trinity Church steps crying my eyes out because I felt like such a failure. I said, what's wrong with me? I don't want to bring shame to my family. Why do I hate this job? I don't have a backup plan. I don't come from a trust fund. Like, what the hell am I going to do? And the first signal and message I got was call your father. So I took out my flip phone because it's 1997 and I call my dad because I didn't know what else to do. And I'm doing the ugly cry. Snot's coming out. Forget about it. I'm like, Dad, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I want to quit this job, but you and mom worked so hard to put me through I'm just blabbering on. And when I finally took a break, he's like, Ree, hold on a second. Keep breathing. You've been working, babysitting, doing your own thing since you were 9 years old. I have no doubt that you're going to be fine. He said, but here's the secret to life. You're going to be working for the next 40, 50 years. You have got to find something you love. And if this job is making you so sick that you're sitting on the church steps crying, you got to quit. Now, I don't know how you're going to find what you're going to love, but clearly this isn't it. And you guys, that was the permission slip. I just got chills when I said that. He didn't tell me how to find what to love, but when I closed that phone, I went back, I gave my notice, and I went on an odyssey. The only clues I had was that I had this passion for small business because my dad was a small business owner. And I was also highly creative. And at that time, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should work in magazines because women's magazines, again, it was the late 90s. They were still a thing. And so clarity comes from engagement, not thought. I just hustled. I got into the streets of Manhattan. I went to a temp agency. They got me in Gourmet Magazine. All right. So Gourmet Magazine as an ad assistant. And I'm like, okay, this is a completely different environment. Again, I was like 99. I love all people, but it was just unbalanced on Wall Street and that time and space. So in the magazine world, my boss was a woman. The publisher was a woman. Everything was a lot more creative. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. My desk was next to the snack kitchen. Again, Italian American. I like to eat. Bring me the test snacks. It was amazing. But here's what happened. Not even 6 months into that job, guess what, you guys? That voice came back. Marie, this isn't what you're supposed to do. This isn't who you are. This isn't what you're supposed to be. And it was this feeling from the inside out. I wasn't thinking it. I was feeling it. Now I'm feeling like such a loser. I'm going, what the hell is going on? I am a hard worker. I want to work. I want to make my way in the world. I want to make a difference. but I can't do this. And I thought, okay, well, maybe, Wall Street's so focused on numbers, and even ad sales in a magazine, that's still quota based, it's numbers. I said, maybe my creative side is starving. So I went to the HR department, Condé Nast Publishing, big publishing house. And I said, hey, look, if you have any opening on an editorial side of any magazine, I got it. If you need to take a pay cut, I don't care. Send me over there. So up came a job at Mademoiselle magazine, fashion magazine. And all of a sudden I'm in the fashion editorial department. I'm like, this is it. This is my career path. I'm doing photo shoots. I'm working with designers,
Yes.
right? This is going to be amazing. Oh my gosh. And like 6 months in, what do you think happens? The novelty wears off, and I hear that same inner voice, that same intuition. Marie, this isn't who you are. This isn't what you're supposed to be. This isn't what you're supposed to do. At this point, y'all, I felt broken. I was like, what's wrong with me? Do I have commitment issues? All my friends are getting married. They're having kids. They're like moving up the corporate ladder. And here I am a couple years in feeling like a loser because I keep quitting these very good jobs because it felt like I was dying inside. So one day I show up for work and I'm on the internet, probably when I shouldn't have been. And I stumbled upon an article about a new profession at that time. This is like 1999, called life coaching. I'm 23 years old. I read this article. Something in me lit up like a Christmas tree, and I could not explain it. It was as though the clouds parted, little angels came out, and it was like, ah, like this is what you're supposed to do. Now, the mean girl voice in my head, the Jersey voice in there was like, who do you think you are? You're not even 20. Who the hell is going to hire a 23-year-old life coach? You haven't even lived life yet. You're tens of thousands of dollars in debt. You keep quitting every job. This is just going to be one more thing you fail at. So I had these two things happening inside me simultaneously: a body truth and intuition that there was something here for me, and then the mean conditioning from my brain and my head and my past that was telling me I was going to fail. Fast forward about 3 more months down the line, I get a call from the HR department. They had a promotion ready for me to go to Vogue, top fashion magazine in the world. And there was my fork in the road. Do you go to Vogue, have this prestigious job, people understand what you're going to do, there's more money, there's more glamour, all that stuff? Or do you quit and do this weird ass thing called life coaching that no one has ever heard of, that you think sounds a little cheesy, but that feels righter than anything that's ever been right in your life? I had signed up in the meantime for like a 3-year life coach training program that was going virtually while I was still working. I decided to quit my job. I decided to say no to that Vogue offer. I went back to waiting tables and bartending and cleaning people's houses and toilets while I figured out how to build a coaching business from the ground up. And that was 25 years ago. So
that's crazy.
The body
oh my God,
truth.
that makes sense. I'm
Yes,
26.
I'm gonna shut up right now. But it was like that. The point was, we have these internal messages and these intuitive nudges and these guidance points that are always trying to lead us to our higher purpose, but we have to have the courage to listen. And so that ability to listen, married with the belief that everything was figureoutable, is the only reason that I'm sitting here with you today.
Wow. I got to tell you, it's amazing to hear
I don't
your
even
story.
want to say anything. I just want to listen to you speak. Like, you are like, I'm in awe.
A breath of fresh air.
But like, you're so incredible. I just like
right back at you, right back at both of you. But I know that your audience, right? They're like so many of us, we all believe and we want to do good work in this world, whatever that good work looks like. And it could be as a parent, it could be as a teacher, it could be as a psychic, it could be all of these beautiful possibilities. But we don't do a really good job in our culture quite yet of helping each other gain an understanding and an ability to listen to the wisdom within, and then be able to marry that with very practical tools on the outside to build a meaningful, solid life that is rooted in our values and rooted in our gifts. And I think both of you, I love this opportunity to talk and to share, because it's made all the difference in the world to me. And so if any part of my story can inspire someone else, that's the only reason I want to share it.
Well, I got to tell you,
It just inspired me.
Our stories are very, very, very similar because I think, in today's world, especially now, right, we're trained where this is the right way to do things. You go to school, you go to college, you pick a profession, you load up with student debt, and then you do that profession. But what if it's not the right one for you? What do you do? For example, I got to be honest with you. I was not good in school. I almost did not graduate high school. My mom used to call the guidance counselor every day, be like, did he pass the math test? Did he pass the math test? Is he graduating? I got 50 people coming to the graduation party. I got to know, do I order the food or not? True story, right? And then my parents made me go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My parents like, you have to go to college. You cannot be a loser. And I'm like, Dad, Mom, I don't know what I want to do. They're like, just go. So long story short, my parents paid for a semester of college for me. I flunked out, right? They were never so mad at me. Right. And they were like, you wasted our money, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. And my father's like, yeah, better figure it out. I knew I wanted to do something with helping people.
Yeah.
I didn't know what. Right. So I said, you know what? My goal right now is let me take it slow. I'm going to start off as an emergency medical technician. I went to my parents and said, I want to be an EMT. They said to me, no more money. You're cut off. You want to use the money? Go back. Wait, listen. They're like, you're cut off. We're done. We invested the money in you. You got to do it yourself. So I went into my little, cause you know what? I'm Italian American too. So I went into the communion fund. You know the communion funds. Like I had like $6,000 in my communion fund. So I took the money out of the communion fund that were birthdays, Christmas, communion, all this stuff. I paid for the EMT course. And the first time in my life, I got straight A's. Right? Got straight A's, got my EMT certification. I'm got my life all figured out. I'm like, I'm going to be a paramedic. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Got a high paying job working at the World Trade Center in Boston.
And you enjoyed it. You really enjoyed it.
Freaking loved it. Right?
Yeah.
Was I'm helping people. I'm getting paid top notch. I'm in this position where I'm just going to keep moving up. And then I'm something's missing, but I don't know what, right? I'm helping people. I'm feeling fulfilled. I have this career that's going amazing. What's missing? And I went to go and see a medium myself. And she picked up that my grandmother was a medium and that my mom was a medium. No, granted, they never did it publicly, never shared it. No one knew about this, right?
Right.
It's just done for close friends and family members. My own grandfather didn't know that my grandmother was a medium, had no idea. So the thing is that she's like, you have this gift and you're supposed to be using it to help people. I'm like, no, I am helping people on the physical level. She's like, no, you're going to use it on the spiritual level. And, don't be afraid of it. You've been pushing it away. When you hear something, say something. And those words inspired me. And not to go into the full story, but I started to look into that, back into those gifts that I had been suppressing. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, as I started to share my gift and talk about it, all these doors just started to open, right?
Yes.
Oh, Matt, can you do a reading for me? Oh, my friend needs you. Oh, this person needs you. That person needs you. So next thing you know, I'm running from work and going and doing, small groups of people, house parties. And someone's like, I want you on the radio. And to the point where then I hit the fork. I was at the fork because at the time, I had a publicist that reached out to me that's like, I need to, do you need help handling, these media appearances and whatnot? And I'm like, absolutely. So my publicist got involved at the time and she's like, you can't do both. I started to get recognized at work, right? It got to the point where I couldn't hold on to both worlds. I had to choose one or the other. I could stay in the job where I was stable and I knew what my future would be, or I could go to this job that was uncertain that I didn't even know was a job. I never thought that I would be doing this professionally, full-time, and living a job that's my life and that I love. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you know what? At the time, I think I was 21, 22 years old. I'm like, when I quit my job, I'm like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to see where this road leads me. And thank God that I did. Yeah. And that's the same thing as you. I want to inspire people that if it doesn't feel like it fits, don't make it. How many times, think about this, Marie. As a kid, you have that toy with all the different shapes. You put the star through the star shape and it fits perfectly.
Roy
the circle,
has that, yes.
Oh yeah, the circle through the circle space. How many people in life try to fit the square, right? The square piece through the round hole.
Yes.
It doesn't go. No matter how much you push it in, it's not going to work. And you get aggravated, you get frustrated, you get upset, but it doesn't work. And that's really what happens within life is so many times we try to force things. And heaven's like, hey, over here, over here, over here.
Yes, those little nudges. And I think there's a couple of amazing pieces to what you guys said, and giving some previews, because I know you work with people of all ages. I think there's something important too about allowing for change and transformation. So there could have been something that was wonderful in your life. It could be a piece of your career. It could be something in a relationship. It could be a certain skill set. And I think one of the most exciting pieces, and this is something that I love, and I'm also looking at myself, is how do you know and have the courage to let go? How do you shed what was once you, but there is a new you being born? And sometimes there's a bit of a chasm, right? Between who you were and who you're meant to be, and in that middle place where we need to have faith. And I think that's why your work and what you do can be so incredibly valuable. Because I think if we're only operating from ourselves, or we're only operating from our conditioned mind, which is so often rooted in fear, what we want to do is go pull back to certainty and comfort, right? All of us as human beings, it can be the most uncomfortable place to be, in that middle ground. And so for anyone listening who, maybe you might be in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you feel this new chapter coming up, you have to begin to listen to those internal signals again. Because I would think, and I would so curious to hear your take on this. It's like, there's more adventure for you. There's more possibility for you. But if you're clinging onto the past, or you're trying to make something fit that no longer fits, I often like to use this metaphor, and I'm actually feeling versions of this myself where I am in my life. It's like, I'm a beautiful little plant that's outgrowing my container. My roots are getting too big for where I've held myself. And so you have to bust out, and you have to be in the unknown and in that void, because in the darkness, new things are born. But that can be really scary for most of us. So I just wanted to add that layer too. So, depending on which stage or season of life you're in, there's always going to be change. There's always going to be transformation. There's always going to be that next thing. And it takes a lot of courage to listen to those internal signals. But what's on the other side are the miracles and the joy and your highest purpose.
See, I love this conversation, because I feel like, there's going to be so many of all of our listeners that it doesn't even matter the age, that they're going to be already in their purpose, right? They're going to be, a doctor listening in, or, a nurse, or a teacher, someone that has found their passion, has found their, life goals, and they're living their dreams and what they want to do. And then you have people, like, I have to say, like me, like I'm like you both found your way. Like, you found your passion, you found your way. And it's funny, because I'm 26 and I almost feel like I'm in the middle right now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm in that middle of change. The person who I was before becoming a mom is so different than the person I am after becoming a mom.
Yes.
And although being a mom fulfills me in more ways than I can even explain or count, I still feel like something is out there for me. I still feel like something is missing. I'm still being pulled to something, but I haven't, much like you two, I haven't figured it out yet. I know I have a lot of talents, gifts, and abilities. I just haven't figured out like where to put myself just yet.
Yes.
And I feel like there's going to be a lot of people also listening in that are kind of in that stage as well.
Yes. You want to talk about that a little bit? Because it's fun. Like,
oh my,
yes.
Oh my God. Abso-freaking-lutely.
So,
I would love to talk about it.
This is one of my favorite ways for myself and for others that I've discovered to start to unearth some of those possibilities and to have it feel really fun. Yeah. So it's a sentence stem. And I love to journal around this sentence stem. I've used this in our business. Like when my business was really tiny, I used it to grow it really big. And at every stage of my life, and even in my relationships, I use this sentence stem to tap into my imagination and my joy beyond what the world told me is possible. So here's the sentence stem. It's really simple. Wouldn't it be cool if ... Wouldn't it be cool if? Now, here's how you use the sentence stem. Do you like to journal, Alexa? Do you have a journal?
I have a journal. I love to journal. Writing is one of my favorite ways to express myself.
Yes, this is going to work so awesome for you. So this is for you and for everyone. Whenever you feel to, and you can do it every day, but what I'd love you to do is finish that sentence stem at least 25, if not 50 times. What happens with volume is we work past our social conditioning. We work past and go past and push past what we think is possible. And then we start tapping into the real juice. Nothing that you finish that sentence with has to be practical. You don't have to do it. It doesn't even have to make sense. It could be totally fantastical. It could be like, wouldn't it be cool if I traveled around the world for 3 years, and learned 17 different languages? Wouldn't it be cool if like the exercise is in flexing your imagination and starting to let yourself tap into possibility? Because I find that so many of us, again, just by social conditioning, familial conditioning, the media, people are very reasonable.
Right.
We're very stable. We're very reasonable. We're very responsible. And that's beautiful. We love that. But sometimes we can be a little anorexic when it comes to dreaming and possibilities. So that wouldn't it be cool if gives you a chance to, it's almost like going to the gym and doing some push-ups. You're going to strengthen your imagination muscles. And what I find is that somewhere on those lists, and you can do it every day, you can do it once a week, you can totally make this your own, but you're going to start to nail on an idea that's going to feel sparky to you, Alexa. You're going to be like, oh, wait, what? Like it'll just feel something in your body. And that's when we'll start to use the other things. And we're going to send you a copy of the book for shizzle. And it'll be like clarity comes from engagement, not thought. And we want you to be in that position of play, experimentation, and then receiving feedback from your own body and from your own guides and spirit of like what feels good and what feels joyous. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know this could exist. And so the second thing I want to share with you is this. And this is something that I always need to remind myself of because I'm a type A, very passionate, go-getter, want things to, right? Like I see us.
So type A.
Yes.
Oh,
and so
type A.
Having patience is the hardest thing for people like us because we're like, let's get it done. Let's make it happen. Come on. But as you know, here's one of the most beautiful things about life. When you plant a seed in the ground, you can't yell at it and rush it and make it come up. Right. And if you tried to dig up that seed to see if it's going to grow any faster, you would kill it. But if you have patience and you water it, you give it sunshine, you give it nourishment, and you're just there and you're like, I'm waiting for you. So the notion is that you can't rush clarity. So your idea, your possibility, Alexa, it's coming. And the more that you play with these little ideas and you have that patient, playful energy around it, that's going to be the vitamins and the nourishment for that idea to not only take root, but to start to poke through the ground so you can start to see those little green spuds coming through. And please, Matt has my number. Text me. I'm going to be your friend on this journey because it's coming for you. It's just, yes, you're going to have patience with yourself. Again, for people like us, it's very difficult.
I love it. I've been laughing this week because obviously everybody's been asking me about birth and they're like, are you ready to give birth? How do you want to give birth? Whatever. And it's so funny because I am the type A person that I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave it to God. And then I'm like, God, which way is it supposed to go?
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting. Okay, tell me now. I am just patience is something that I struggle with, something that I actually have changed since becoming a mom. You actually recently just gave me a nice compliment the other day and said I'm too patient, but I am so not like I'm intuitive, but I am totally the definition of like, okay, God, I give it to you.
Yes.
Okay, give it back. Okay, I'm going to decide now. Yeah.
But also, I think what's so important, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, Marie, is the importance of divine timing too, right? Like you might have an amazing idea and an amazing plan. I know this probably happened with you, Marie. It happens all the time with me, where when I have an idea or I have that spark of creativity, I write it down, right? I keep note of it. And even if it doesn't happen right now, right this second, it might not be meant to, right? It might happen 5 years in the future, 6 years in the future, 7 years in the future. But when you get it, don't lose sight of it. Like hold on to it because so many people throw in the towel when they start to get those I shouldn't say stop signs, but when they start to feel resistance, I guess is the word, right?
Yes. Yeah. And they have little obstacles. And well, let's talk about that. I will tell you, having done this, like having had my own business and sharing ideas and content with people, hopefully that can support them in their lives. Doing this for 25 years, I have some perspective on it. And there are so many of my ideas, you guys, that I had 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it took them that long to incubate. Do you know, I had people coming to me about a book. They're like, you need to write a book. I was like, y'all, I am not just pumping out a book just to pump out like it's got to be the right idea. And it took years. I test drove this idea, Everything Is Figureoutable, on Oprah's stage. That was before the book, to just know if it was going to land. So I love that you brought up divine timing, because it is a thing. It really is a thing. And I always have to remind myself of that too, because sometimes my mind, that driven, type A, ambitious person, wants it to happen yesterday. But when I look back in retrospect, the timing was always perfect. It was really perfect. And there is more than enough for us. So it's like, to be able to trust that. And Matt, I think that's one of your, you have so many gifts, but that's such an incredible gift that you have, to be able to remind people about divine timing and to be able to share messages that they may not be able to consciously hear, or they haven't developed their gifts yet. So you can kind of pass them along. And it gives our soul and our consciousness a little bit of rest. Like, it helps me rest when I get messages from the divine. I'm like, oh, okay, everything's good. And that it's happened to me a lot lately, actually, with my family. There's been so here's the shift that I'm going through, that I'm wrestling with. And it's really kind of exciting. So my whole kind of MO in life has been make things happen, push that boulder up a hill. You know what I mean? Again, I'll do my push-ups. I'm going to do my little bicep curls, and I will muscle through and I make it happen. And I've been getting messages, probably for like a few years now, but they're getting louder. And that's how I always know it's like, oh, something's going to shift. It was like, your old methods of push, that's not where you're supposed to be anymore. You're actually supposed to be in a place of attraction. You're supposed to be in a place of ease and magnetism. You need to learn a new way to continue to share your gifts. The old stuff, that was great, but the new way is actually about relaxation and inviting in. And that's terrifying for me, because it's not been my mode. So I don't know if you've ever heard or seen anything like this before and other people, but
I feel like you have, Matt.
Yes, it's been like intimidating and scary. But when I've been listening and relaxing into it, the most miraculous things are showing up, including you, who I think you guys are fabulous. And these other things in my life where, rather than pushing to figure it out, which again, I'm very good at, I'm very practiced at, but it has a cost. Now I'm starting to flex my ability to let things come in and to trust it more. And it's been miraculous. I'll pause there because I don't want to keep going.
No. I mean, absolutely. And like I said, it just goes back to the fact that like the facts might not be on your side, but it doesn't matter, right? So for example, I'll give you an example from my life. I just kept feeling like I had to tour Canada. And my team was like, okay, let's pull the data. And they're like, Matt, you don't have any fans in Canada. Like, all your fans are United States based. Yes. And like, there's really not that many fans in Canada. And I'm like, I just keep feeling this and just keep feeling this. So like, let's test out a market. So we went all the way up to Enoch, Canada. Okay. Which is like in the middle of nowhere. So we go up, we plan one show there. Okay. So everyone's like biting their nails, nervous about you look at the data like from social media and like the newsletter and everything. And they're like, there's like maybe 500 people that like live in like the 100-mile radius that are actually on my socials. Right. So everyone's like, this isn't going to go, but we're just going to do it for Matt. We're going to do it for Matt. Well, anyway,
let's humor Matt.
The event goes up, sells out first day, right? They add a second event, sells out next day. They add a third event, sells out. We ended up with over 6,000 people that bought tickets. And they were like, everybody was like, what? Like everybody was like scratching their head, like, how could this be? Because the math isn't mathing. Like it doesn't add up. Like where the hell did these people come from? Because they, they're not on social media, whatever, but it doesn't matter. They were still there and I felt to go. And it's a good thing that I trusted myself and listened. But I'll tell you, there are some times, like you may have seen in your life, where, I've trusted my own intuition and my psychic thoughts and my psychic feelings. So I use that for myself all the time. Before I sign a contract, before I do anything, I always check with myself psychically.
Yes.
So I'll tell you that, I felt that I had to write a book. And I was told that I was going to be a New York Times bestselling author. And I wrote the first book. And right as it was released, COVID happened.
Wow.
And the books never made it on the shelf. And I was like, what? And literally the books were like piled there. They never made it on the shelves because obviously, the bookstore started shutting down and whatnot. And then the news, it was like everything that happened. I was on the Kelly Clarkson show. I was on Real Housewives. I was on this. I was on that. And every time I was on TV, Marie, right? It'd be like, breaking news, like COVID outbreak, blah, 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 blah. So all my TV spots got screwed, right? And I'm like, and here's the publisher saying like, the book's not selling, the book's not selling, the book's not selling, yes. Right? And they're like, we don't know what to do. Well, all of a sudden, after like everything kind of started to calm down, the book started to go back on the shelves. The store started opening, and it was just this uphill, like boom, like all of a sudden 5,000 copies, 10,000 copies, 20,000 copies, 30,000 copies. And it wasn't that book that made New York Times bestselling, only because of the fact that it never made it on the shelves. But I came back, I'm like, I'm going to do this again. And I did it the second time. I wrote a second book. It came out and boom, instant New York Times bestseller, first week on the New York Times bestseller list. And I was like, oh my God. And it stayed there. And I was like, I can't believe this. Like, I didn't realize it at first, right? When I felt a little bit let down. I felt even like looking back at my abilities, like, what was this? Why did this why was this not meant to be? Yeah. And then I realized, no, it just took that second time. It was still in my path. I was supposed to have that title. But it just took me that second time to kind of, positioning. The universe wasn't right at that moment.
That's exactly right. No, and I love that too. And thank you for sharing that because, for some of us, you'd be like, wait, this did feel right. And you're like, patience. I always try and think about it like a movie. You know what I mean? If you're watching a movie and you leave midway through, you're like, oh, that one sucked. And you're like, but wait, did you not stay till the end and see where it's going? And I just think that that's so important for us to, again, have a little bit of patience and know that there is divine timing, that you might not have the full story right now, even if it looks bleak, even if it looks really dark, even if you're like, wait a minute, this is really disappointing. There is something around that next corner. And that's where like a little belief, like everything is figureoutable, or Matt, I'm sure there's so much wisdom in your book. It's like to have that faith and to have that patience that it's on your path and it may not be right now. I remember there was like something that I missed. It was like, I was double booked or whatever. And my book agent told me, life's rejection is God's protection. And I always loved that phrase. And it really helped me. It helped me calm my nervous system. You know what I mean? It helped me stay grounded. It helped me stay present. And it helped me remember also for someone like me, that I'm not fully in charge and that I don't have to be, and that I don't have to carry anything. That's one of the lessons I feel like in my life that I'm constantly trying to learn and to remember and to remind myself is that I don't have to do it all on my own. And it was just a couple of weeks ago when I was reading your book, and I was like, oh my God, my friend's hanging out with me. Like one of my favorite things to do is like read in bed, to have my tea, you know what I mean? And read and outline. And there were so many messages in your book that really were helping me to stay super grounded
I love that.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. And it was like, yes, Marie, remember, because my training, my human training has been to like do it on your own and muscle through. And it was like, no, girl, relax. No, girl, open up. No, ask. No, receive. No, listen. And so it's been really good and really helpful. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. You got to share with Marie that saying that you always live by that you taught me about like it feels rushed. When things feel rushed, it's not from God.
Yes.
Ooh, tell me.
If you feel it's not as, I don't even know where I saw it. It was probably like online or something, but I just felt very drawn to it. And it's something that I do always tell you. If you feel like you have to do it like now, like it won't work out if you don't do it immediately, it's absolutely not from God, because God will never rush you.
Ooh.
Never rush you.
I love that.
But yes, I do too. But I have a question for the both of you. So whoever wants to answer first, because Matt, you're a psychic. So you use your abilities to your, obviously your advantage and in your own life, just like you help others. And then Marie, you're so intuitive, like to listen to you, the messages that you receive are so clear, are like unbelievable. Like basically like you have that gift to be able to guide you, and you're so you are you have such a clarity, and like you're able to like listen and follow your guides, and then obviously it's clear for you too, Matt. So for someone that of course isn't psychic, or it may not be or feel as intuitive as you, Marie, how do you guys exercise that? How do you receive clearer messages? If
That's a really good
someone's
question.
Struggling with that.
Yes. Okay. So,
So
yeah, Matt, you go first. And then, no, we got, because this will be fun, because this is going to be, you know, what's cool about this. I
Right.
feel like we're about to uncover a whole bunch of different tools. You go first. We'll play. Let's go back and forth, because we're going to uncover lots of things.
Okay, so let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Let's like just like throw it out there. So first of all, it starts with really understanding what is your fear and anxiety, and what is your actual psychic voice speaking to you, because they can sound very similar. And it sounds very similar because, you know, anxieties and fears can tell you don't do something or it's not going to work out, but it could also be warning you of something, right? And then you have your intuitive voice. That is the voice that you have to listen to make things happen within your life, because it's guiding you towards your dreams, purpose, and more importantly, towards that success that you need in life. So the thing is that what's tough is this, is that within our bodies, and Marie, I know that you can explain this a little bit better than I can, because I kind of come from the spiritual approach.
Right. Well, that's why I love this for the both of you. This is so interesting.
What's tough is that our brains are focused on just going through the daily tasks of life, right? Driving our car, paying the bills. There's so many responsibilities that we have to do. And our brain is focusing on moving our hands, making us talk, walk, get those bills paid, eat, feed our bodies, all of these things. And then our psychic thoughts are also within our brain. It's in the same thought waves, right? But it's very deep. It's very deep within those daily functions. So what I'm trying to say is this, is that all day long, your brain is sending you messages. You're hungry, you're this, you're that, you're worrying about your kids, you have to pay the bills. But then deep inside, within your brain is this little voice that's telling you, hey, you should do this, or go towards this, or this is not right, right? You should be doing something else, or this is not where you're meant to be, or this person isn't going to get married to you. Whatever it is, that little voice that's within you is that little voice that's trying to prompt you to create change, right? But it's really kind of learning how to tune in and to listen to it. And the only way to really start is by recognizing that it's there. And that when you have all of these crowded thoughts and you have that tiny little voice within you, take a moment and then start asking yourself questions. Why am I hearing this? Where am I in my life right now? What are you trying to show me? And really what you're doing is you're creating that conversation, that dialogue with those messages. I mean, what do you think about that, Marie, from your standpoint?
I love that. And I have two practices that I've cultivated that have helped me. And I feel like, Matt, you probably have seen this with people that you work with and colleagues. I feel like intuitive messages show up for people in very different forms. Like some people will get images and pictures in their mind. Some people will hear things. So it kind of, you receive it in different senses. And so this is a really awesome test that has helped me every single time. Anyone I've taught it to, it's never not worked. If you're ever facing a situation and you're a little confused, is this your intuition telling you like, hey, don't go near this thing? Or is this normal fear and anxiety that we all have of not being good enough? And it's actually fear and anxiety that would be helpful for you to move through to get through to your next level. Here's the test. So let's say you were invited to speak at a big event, or you were invited to take part in some kind of project, or it's this big thing that your mind is like, oh my gosh, this is this huge money opportunity or whatever it is. Here's what you do. You get still and get quiet. Take a nice deep breath. Make sure you don't have any technology around you. Close your eyes. And then you ask yourself this: when I imagine saying yes to this opportunity, do I feel expansive or contracted? Now, in the nanosecond after you ask yourself, when I imagine saying yes to this opportunity, so you envision it, you feel it, you try it on, do I feel expansive or contracted? I guarantee for every single person listening, your body has an instant, if not very subtle, almost infinitesimal response. Expansive is like a sense of almost opening up. It may feel like little bubbles in your belly. It may feel like your entire energetic field somehow lifts up. You may move forward in your chair. there, everything may lift. That's just some of the feelings. And again, there could be an infinite number of different ways to describe it. But I think all of us, it might be a tingling of joy or possibility or excitement. Even if the opportunity scares the shit out of you, you still have that expansive, moving forward, lifted feeling. Now, even if the opportunity is $1 gajillion and you need money, or everyone, it would tell, this is the biggest thing, you have to say yes, this is the thing that you should do. Anyone in your position, if you don't do this, you're stupid. And you think about saying yes to that opportunity, and something in you feels contracted, which could feel like a sense of dread. You notice ever so subtly your shoulders pulling forward, your stomach heavying, even your head subtly shaking no, your body in space moving back. Something that you could identify as a feeling of heaviness or contraction or dread, that is a no. So I've always found that using some body intelligence can help us start to better tune in and be able to distinguish and discern the difference between things we should move towards and things we should stay away from, but to kind of bypass our conditioned fear and anxiety and really tap into our body. So that's one. And then two, this is the other trick that I've used. When people are like, you seem so intuitive, I don't know if I have that. I'm like, we all know everyone has that, right? It just might not be a muscle. We haven't done our push-ups yet, but we can do our push-ups. We can go in the gym. Right. Here's how to do it. Look back in your life. It's like you're at a little file folder of all the different experiences, and see if you can detect the places where you might have felt something like, I don't think I should do that, or I don't think I should trust that person or something. And you overrode it because your ego wanted to get ahead, or because everybody else told you it was a good idea. Or, you know what I mean? There was something in your mind that wanted to cling to certainty or climb, or I've done this a million times where there was a little alarm signal that went off and I was like, nope, not listening. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to make that money, or I'm going to look fantastic, or I'm going to get ahead. And it was like, girl, you're going to pay for that. It's going to be painful. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be, so does that make sense? So if you start to look back, then you can detect for yourself how you hear. I'll tell you guys this, I used to be bi-coastal. I would live part of the time in Venice, California, and part of the time in New York City. And we have some other places. And but in 2021, I literally walked into my home in California, and the voice, it was like, you need to get out. 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 So I hear, it doesn't sound like, it's not like I have an audible voice, but it's the closest thing that I can describe to that. And it was not panicked. Right. It was not pushy, but it was consistent. Does that make sense? So there was no fear underneath it, but it was just a chime that kept going. And I was like, I guess I'm supposed to call the realtor. And there was like, yep. And the house sold. And it was really important for me for many aspects of my life that I got out of that real estate investment at that time. And so I think,
but wait a minute.
Yes.
Wow. I think that what you're saying, just to dovetail on that, You're absolutely right. And that's the one thing that I teach people with intuition is really about listening and making sure for that consistency, right? If you hear it again and again and again and again, spirit will always repeat itself, repeat the messages back to you, right? And fears and anxieties come at random, right? But it's not consistent like a message. A message is always consistent, and then it appears in different facets of your life as well.
Yes. So does that feel, so those are some tools for people, right? For all of us, it's like, I have to practice it too. And sometimes, what the other thing for me, one of the things I know about myself that I've learned over time is that I need to wait a little bit for emotional clarity. Sometimes I can ride like high highs and get really excited about a possibility. It was almost like, if anyone's rushing you, like, you need to make this decision now and you need to sign this contract. Like, I know I'm very vulnerable of getting just swept up into some excitement. And I've learned over time that I can make expensive mistakes that way. So I love what you said, Matt, about listening for the repeating messages, because for me, it's like repeating messages and giving myself a few days to sleep on something and to see what shows up consistently. And if no one gives you that space to wait, I'm going to just stake the claim that it's possible that you might want to step away. You know what I mean? There's not that many things in life that you can't wait a day for, or you can't sleep on before making a big decision. But if you hear that message again and again and again, that's your intuition.
So here's a secret. That's a signal that I use in my life every single day, is that if somebody pushes a contract in front of me or pushes something in front of me and says, you need to do this right now, I'll always wait a day or two. I'll be like, I can't get this right now,
Yes,
but I
you
need
do.
this back at the end of the day. No, I cannot do it right now. I need another 24 hours or so. And I just sit and I wait, and I never sign something same day. I will not do it because you have to wait. You can't just jump into it. You have to know and feel it out. You have to feel out exactly what your body is telling you, what the messages are coming to you, and really figure out if it's going to benefit you. And I want to hit you with the hard ball, Marie. All right? Because what about there's going to be those people that come in? Oh, I know she can take it. She's a New Yorker. She's a New Yorker.
As soon as you said New Jersey, New Jersey, I'm like, this is our girl. Yeah.
So here's the thing. What about when something is not figure outable? Because there's going to be people on here that say, what if you can't figure something out? For example, how many times do people come to me and they're dealing with a family situation and they're dealing with somebody and they want to figure things out, but the other person doesn't?
Yes. Okay. So let me answer this in a couple of ways, because this is very, very important. So when I first test rode this idea, Everything Is Figureoutable, it was on Oprah's stage. It was the first time I put it in front of an audience that wasn't just my own. So I was like, this is going to be awesome, because I'm going to share the concept and I'm going to get feedback and I'm going to see what happens. So they put that talk on an Oprah podcast. So it went out to a gajillion people that were not familiar with my work or anything. And I got this email from a woman named Jen. And Jen wrote to me and she said, Marie, thank you so much for this talk. I'd never heard of you. I heard this talk. It was amazing. This is an idea, a concept my mother was trying to teach me my whole life. And I actually made her sit down and we listened to it. We watched this together. She goes, but then something happened. She goes, my mom, who is my best friend in the entire world, got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And suddenly nothing seemed figure outable. She said, but then I took a step back and I took a deep breath and I realized the concept was about I can still break down the big things into little things. And here's what she said. I could figure out how to get nursing care for my mom who lived in a rural area. I could figure out how to find foods that she could actually tolerate. And then I could figure out how to help my mom, who's the most important person in my world, spend the last weeks of her life on earth in the place that she exactly wanted to be, which was her home, getting the right equipment, getting the right people, and getting the right support. And she said, so thank you for sharing that concept, because in the middle of the most horrific circumstance that at its one face was not figure outable, she could figure out how to create peace and harmony and love in that situation. She said, thank you so much for sharing that. I had another friend of mine who I love dearly. He loves me, super respectful. He wrote to me. He's known me for 20 plus years. And he goes, Marie, I love you. I love your book, but come on. How is everything? What about addiction? What about death? What about trauma? What about abuse? And I told him, I have stories in this book from people who have gone through all of those circumstances. It is not saying that you can fix the unfixable, but what it is saying that in this human life, you have been given ingenuity and possibility and creativity. And that it is my belief, and no one has to agree with my belief, but that we have the tools to transform or transcend any challenge we face. So there's also 3 rules around Everything Is Figureoutable. And this was like a little bit of a mental framework that can help us use this phrase in a way that can be really constructive and not get into unuseful thought loops that just drive us into the ground. So here are the 3 rules. Rule number 1, all problems or dreams are figureoutable. Rule number 2, if a problem is not figureoutable, it's not really a problem. It's a fact of life or law of nature, death or gravity. Rule number 3, here's the big one, y'all. You may not care enough to figure out this particular problem or achieve this particular dream, and that's okay. Find another problem or a dream that ignites a blazing fire in your heart and go back to rule number 1. So it's this little mental container that allows us to use the phrase with its intended purpose, which is to stay in a place of possibility and creativity. Now, Matt, you said something that's really important. What if somebody else has a problem, right? And they don't want to figure it out, but you're trying to figure it out for them. I think this is really important. And this is where it's really crucial to understand that the only things that we can figure out are things for ourselves. that everyone is on their own path and their own journey. And as painful as that may be, and I'm going through this right now with my parents. My parents, God bless them. My dad's 76. He's got memory issues. My mom, she got super, super sick with COVID in 2023, and she had a severe, severe health crisis. She's still in it now. And it's really challenging because I can see things for my mom, this beautiful person who gave me this beautiful gift that would help her feel better. But I can't want things for her more than she wants for herself right now. And so my lesson is to love her through that. My lesson is to release control, and it's to continue to show up as a loving daughter. And it's continuing to show up and love her through the pain that she's going through and her soul's journey, which is her own. And even though my human self, right, wants to control and wants to fix and wants to heal and wants to do all those things because I love her so much, it's not my place. My place is to show up, and it's to be love, and it's to pour love into her for as long as I possibly can.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
That's so beautifully said. And I think that, did you have something to say?
I was just going to say that it's such a relatable struggle. I feel like, especially for people like us, Marie, that are type A,
Yes.
type A. And, you want to be able to control, you want to be able to, have everything go, like you see something so clearly for someone and you're like, how are you not seeing it? Like, are you kidding me? But you're right. Everybody's soul is on their own journey. Everybody has to do their life lessons and want things for themselves and have a yearn for, maybe it's leaving a bad relationship. Maybe it's, following their dreams and being out of that stuck, or maybe they're depressed and they need to get out of it.
Yes.
The possibilities are endless. As humans, we go through so many trials and tribulations. But I don't want to interrupt your thought either. But
no, I mean,
that
it's
was
true.
Such a relatable.
For me, I'm a resolutionist, right? Being an EMT,
yes,
especially has taught me that. It's like you have to make sure that you solve the problem for this person. When somebody comes to you and they're sick or they have an injury, like you have to make sure that you figure out what's wrong fast and you solve it.
Yes,
right. And that was the hardest challenge, actually, that I had as a psychic medium, is that people would come to me and the souls would tell me, this is what you can do right now to fix your life. And I can't tell you how many people, there was that group of people that just wouldn't do it. And I'm like, it's so easy. But I had to really understand that they just weren't ready. They weren't ready to take that next step. And that's okay. I couldn't do it for them. I just had to wait until they were ready. And I just could hand over this information, hand over these steps, put it all in front of them and say, it's up to you.
Yes. 100%. And I think if we're all honest too, it's like, I just always come back to, I got a lot of work to do with this thing. I can leave everyone else's business to themselves. Do you know what I mean? There's a whole lot of things with me that I want to heal and I want to love and I want to expand. It's like, I got enough of my own business to handle rather than going into anyone else's business. Yes. So that's helpful too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, what's so beautiful about the work that you do too is that you inspire so many people. And let me ask you this.
Yes.
When you have an idea, whether it be to write a book, whether it be to write a movie, whether it be to, an unfilled dream, right? And you write it down. What's the next step that you take when you have that dream in front of you, right? Is it that you go and you start branching out and networking? Is it that you share it? Is it that you test it like you did on the Oprah stage?
Yeah.
What do you do with it?
Yeah, I think for me personally, so when I have dreams that are unfulfilled and I'm like, oh, I want to create this next thing. I want to manifest this thing. I want to bring this into my life in some form or shape. Writing is a tool that I use constantly. So there's some great science behind this. Did you know that people who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them by just writing them down? 42%. Like those odds are
That's
insane.
A huge percentage.
It's a huge, if you were like, look, if you just do this one thing, you are 42% more likely to be successful, and you write them down. So one of the first things I do, I actually write my goals down every single day. I write them down every day because it's a way, again, because with an ADHD, wonderfully creative, wild brain, and with a lot of things happening in my life and knowing neuroscience, the more I write it down and I write things down by hand, I am conditioning and training both my conscious and my subconscious mind, I'm getting familiar and intimate with this awesome new creation. And anything in the world that is real is first created in thought. And then what do? For me, I like to think like an artist. I've done several renovations over the past few years, and it's like, we don't just go take a sledgehammer to the kitchen. We go design our dream kitchen on the page. We write it down before we make it real. So that's always my first step. And when I start just getting intimate and seeing those ideas day in and day out, then usually there's a message. It's like, okay, do I want to pick up a book about that? Do I know any friends? For me, I do love real estate. I'm like, oh, let me just start hunting for real estate online. Or can I make a call and see, does anyone have a clue for me? And I also pray for guidance. I ask my spirit guide. I actually loved, Matt, in your book, the distinguishing between, guardian angel spirit. Like, you gave me some great distinctions that I'd never heard before. So thank you for that. But I'll ask for guidance. I'll want to receive it. And then I just look around and listen. And I take that next step, and I make phone calls. I talk to people. I also am very transparent about not knowing what the hell I'm doing. Like, I will be the first one to be like, hey, I am super interested in X. I'm completely new. I've researched X, Y, and Z, but do you have any insight for me to just help me to understand what the next best step is? So I think being really humble and being really transparent about what you don't know, when other people have expertise or might have they're so happy to give you that next step. Oh, did you know about this book? Or you should really meet this person. Or have you checked out this YouTube channel? They'll just shower you with resources. And that's how we learn. And that's how we figure it out. And that's how we take that next step. So for me, it's writing it down is making it real. And I do it every single day. And then I listen for the messages of the next best step and I go take it.
And it's so funny because when you're in that creative space, right, where you're just listening to these messages and these messages come, like they come at all hours. Like, I don't know if it's like this for you, Marie, but there's so many times, like I'll be up at 3 a.m. and Alexa's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I gotta write this down.
Yes.
I gotta get on my computer.
I turn over, I see the laptop light at like 4 a.m. I'm like, what is going on over there? I'm like, and my God, shut that.
She gets so pissed. And I'm like, wait, something came to me. I have this this concept of something.
You're like a night worker. Like you get your best, I feel for you, like your best ideas, like overnight, during the night, like, would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And for me, what works for me is list building. Like, I have lists everywhere of things I'm working on, things that I want, things that I want to wrap up. And it's like, if you saw my office, it's like list everywhere. And it's all written down because I also feel as though, like, you can type it out on your phone, but when it's something physical and it's in front of you and it's on your desk and it's written down and it kind of like haunts you and stays in your space a little bit.
That's right.
Right? It takes up energy in that space. And it's like, you gotta, it reminds you to come back to it, that it's there, it's waiting for you.
Well, that's the other thing about writing it down and about making it real, which I think is really cool. And I think this is going to work for you, Alexa, as well. So it's this process called daily goals. And I write them down every single day because, again, I'm training my subconscious and conscious mind to begin to attract it. But here's what's cool. If an idea is not for you, and you've just kind of picked it up, or maybe you've watched someone else and you're kind of dragging on their dream and going like, oh, I should have that too, or something like that. You're jealous of it or you're envious of it. And you think that that would be a great idea for you. When you write it down every single day, you start to feel into alignment. It's like, that's not really, I actually don't really want that. When you see it every single day, again and again and again, it's like some inner part of you starts to get real about whether or not that is for you. And this is good news if your list gets smaller. If you think you want something and then after writing it down every day and looking at it, you're like, actually, I don't. That's a celebration because you're one step closer to your truth and your clarity. You can get that off your list.
Absolutely.
Wow, I love that. Oh, amazing.
This was absolutely incredible. And I am just so happy that you took the time to be here with us.
Thank you.
I got to tell you, you just have such amazing energy and there's so much. I could keep you here all night long, but it's all in the book.
Keep you here. I want her to like live with us. Are you kidding me?
We're connected now on text, so you guys know. And I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I mean, it's at any moment now, you're going to have your new member of your family, which is thrilling. So thank you so much for having me on at this super special time.
Oh, absolutely.
My God, we are honored. I am just honored to be able to speak to you and connect with you. And I'm just so happy that we had this opportunity because it really is an opportunity. I mean, you are amazing. Amazing. Oh,
well, listen, The dead can find me, but where can the living find Marie Forleo?
You can find me at Marie Forleo on all the socials. We have hundreds and hundreds of podcasts that I've done over the years, both with myself and amazing guests. And we're going to have you on the show sometime soon when it works for you. MarieForleo.com. We have a ton of resources there. Yeah. And we have a podcast, YouTube show, all the good things. And of course, at any bookstore, you can find Everything Is Figureoutable. I think it's in like 36 languages or so. And I did the audiobook. So if you're an audio person and you like to listen, you will actually be hearing my voice read that. I love it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone for listening. And thanks for having me on. This is an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.